So I've not done a video for a while, and as promised in earlier videos, in this one I want to talk about weather add-ons, and in particular Active Sky. Hello, my name's Nigel. I just want to pass on some tips around building your simulator and getting your computer to run as well as it can. Feel free to subscribe if you want to. Click the bell button and then you'll get notifications of any new uploads. And if you want to leave a comment, I'd be really pleased to hear what your thoughts are on this and other videos. So I've spoken before about the differences between Prepare and version 4.5 and version 5, and I downloaded version 5 a while ago, but to be honest with you, I've not really used it. A lot of programs haven't really been upgraded to version 5 compatibility, and it just seemed much more compatible, version 4. But now programs are starting to catch up, and importantly, the big one that's caught up is Active Sky. So Active Sky is a weather program made by a company called Hi-Fi. I've tried loads of programs that provide weather support for the flight simulator. Many of them have got lots of different features, but Active Sky I found is the most stable. It is the most configurable, and in particular, as you will have seen if you've watched the earlier videos, I run my weather on a separate PC across the network, and I found that Active Sky is really quite straightforward to configure across the network. You just need to keep a couple of things in mind that I'm going to cover in this video. So for Prepared 3D version 4.5, I have been using Active Sky Next, and that's a pretty good program. As I said to you, configurable, effective, stable. They've now brought out a brand new Active Sky Prepare 3D, and that can be configured for Prepared version 4.5 and or version 5, and it will put an icon on the desktop for both of those simulators if you're running them as I am alongside each other still. So I'm going to go through a little bit about the setup of the program, a little bit about the program itself, and then talk towards the end about a couple of troubleshooting things that you might come across. The main thing is, as you install it, it will ask you to locate the folders, 3 separate folders that you need to configure so that the program can see those across the network. So the first thing you need to do is to install the Network Connect files. So if you go into the main folder on your C drive and look for the 2 Network Connect files, so there'll be one for Prepared 5 and one for Prepared 4. You simply need to identify them. They say connector install exe. Copy those, either copy them to a USB drive, copy them to your NAS drive, or if your computer's a network, copy them straight onto your main flight machine, and each one of them go in the respective main folders of the simulator. You just double click them and run them, and that's all you need to do. And you'll see at the top it will go green when it's connected effectively, Prepared 3D connected. So the critical thing is to make sure that the main installation folder, the simulation application data folder, and the common data export path, these are all on your main flight machine, are properly configured in this program on the networked machine. And I'll also go into how you need to make sure that they are all shared across the network, otherwise the program won't be able to see them. If you don't configure them effectively or properly, then what you'll see is you'll get an immediate location not found error. And as the program itself installs, one of the first things it will prompt you to do is to find and identify those 3 folders, because those folders, the connectivity, are obviously critical. So you need to ensure that you've shared those folders across the network, and if you can't see them, that's probably the reason why. So the guidance in the documentation is pretty good. At page 99 of the user guide, it talks about and provides a link to how you can set up and share folders across the network. It's pretty straightforward, and you've probably already done it if you've got a networked machine. So the other options under the general options, you can configure a number of different aspects of the program. Quite an important one, you can prevent downloads on approach, a critical time in the flight, and that will avoid any hiccups, judders as the data downloads. You can configure how the program starts and where it sits on the tray. VATSIM online weather, how many log files are kept, whether you auto load the simulator flight plan. You can configure a hotkey for the weather request menu, hotkey to toggle the X gauge window, that's the windows within the plane where you can see active sky weather. You can use the navgraph data for VORs and NDBs. I recommend that because it's usually more up to date. Radar data network port, the HTTP web request port can also be configured. Many of these simulated depiction options, cloud options, I'm not going to go through them each individually. They are all pretty self-explanatory in terms of what they do and what they can do to configure the program. Again, wind options and effects, visibility options. The options are really many and varied, and it's a really configurable program. And then finally, the kind of startup sounds, what you want the application to do when you start it, what text messages appear in the sim, and finally what warnings are configured. Across the top you can select easy mode. Easy mode will be where the setup is configured by the program with all of the normal defaults. That's the most straightforward way to set it up. Realism mode is the alternative, and this can have various options and depictions as you choose. It's clearly a bit more complicated. If you get if you get to a point where you've messed it all up, you can reset the program quite easily to the defaults. And then across the really top right hand menu, a number of different options around the weather control, how and what you see in terms of the map, the individual configurable weather conditions, a flight plan, which is really helpful in terms of how and where the weather is depicted, and the flight briefing would only appear once the flight plan has been activated. The scenarios screen lets you set up all sorts of difficult weather scenarios to test your flying skills. As you can see, a really configurable program. So just going back to the startup, you can see here it'll give you a choice if you start it from the main program, version 4 or version 5, and just a bit of a shout out here for for active sky cloud art. It's a companion program which you can set up your clouds and your sky and configure how the weather is depicted in the sim. So I hope that was useful. I'll come back with some other add-ons and other useful software that can enhance your simulator. And as I said earlier, if you want to like this this video, subscribe, hit the bell button, or really leave comments, that would be great. I'd love to hear what you think about the videos, and I'll catch you next time. Hello, my name's Nigel, and I just want to pass on some tips around simulator